Greetings, coming back at you here again with another watch related topic. Today I'm wearing my Omega Seamaster Caliber 1020 day date. And I want to discuss especially vintage pieces on eBay and actually all pieces on eBay. Let's just do that, right? If you're buying a watch on eBay, 99% of the time, maybe 99 is an exaggeration, maybe 95% of the time, you're going to see in the listing recently serviced or just serviced, right? Now, this is the biggest scam in the book. Hey, drinking some scotch. Glenlivet Founders Reserve. Cheers. Have a drink on me. Just sip it. I don't want to get too mixed up here. Anyway, right? Somebody's selling a watch on eBay. Unless they are a watch collector themselves. But even then, why would they service it before selling it? It wouldn't make any monetary sense to service a watch before you sell it. You would have to pay for the servicing, and you would have to probably include that into your final price, which is going to be way too expensive for most people that want to buy on eBay. Like this watch, for example. I got it for like $200, I think. Now, a service piece of this particular variety would have to go around, I want to say, $650 to like $800 if it was really serviced. But even then on eBay, I'm telling you, it's a big scam. They may say it's been serviced, it may look like it's been serviced, but a majority of the time, when you get the watch, it might run fine for a while, but then after like, especially if it's a vintage watch, after a couple of months, it'll start running wonky. You'll start to see the problems after a while. You might not see the problems immediately. So my advice to you is to keep that in mind when buying any piece on eBay. Factor in the servicing costs in your head before you finally make the purchase. Okay? Just, even if you get a good deal, know that you might have to service it. If you don't have to service it, then consider yourself very lucky and consider that seller very respectable, or that's one of the watches that actually runs well, or one of the few that run well in their entire sales page, right? You might just get lucky, but especially for the new folks out there that want to get into watches and you're looking at vintage watches or cheaper watches or whatever, please remember that you're going to have to service it, okay? If you want it to run the way you want it to run, you want it to run perfectly for what it is. It's a luxury piece. Let's say you're buying a luxury piece. You want it to run like a luxury piece, you're going to have to get it serviced. Unless, like I said, you're lucky and you hit that diamond in the rough. But even then, with my vintage Rolex 6694, I think it is, the manual wind one, I got kind of lucky because I got it for a really good price, and it actually ran really well, really smoothly for around a year and a half. So I consider myself very lucky with that piece, but I had to service it anyway because I told you the story in my previous video. There was a problem with the mainspring, and it's a manual wind watch, so if the mainspring is not, it's worn out or it's not oiled properly, the watch is not gonna wind properly and it's not gonna keep time properly. Everything has to run in perfect unison with these little machines on the wrist, okay? If even one minor thing is off, it's most likely going to run wonky. And if it doesn't run wonky automatically, it will sooner or later. So just keep that in mind. Think it through. Even if you buy, that's why I say It's better to buy a piece that's a little bit cheaper in price on eBay, and then factor in the servicing and all that stuff, and you'll probably still get a better deal than these watches that look in really good condition and say and look like they might have been serviced, even if they run really well, and even if they really were serviced. um, you're gonna, like I said, you're gonna have to pay a lot more than if you were to get it serviced yourself, right? Like this one, I got it for 200, and I think I paid $300 for the servicing very recently. I actually just picked it up yesterday. The watchmaker, local watchmaker, replaced the crown with a genuine Omega crown because the other crown was completely worn out, and did a full servicing on it because the calendar function, mostly on these vintage pieces, if they're day dates, like I find that either the day doesn't switch sometimes, or the date doesn't switch sometimes. Like they're usually wonky when it comes to the calendar function, and it wasn't running. Um, it was running really well, but sometimes it would just stop, and then it would just kind of lose track of time. Then it would run again. So, yeah. So $300 for servicing, and $200 what I paid for it. So $500 total, and you get a really nice watch that'll stay in your collection forever, and take care of it, and it'll last you forever. So to me, that's a better deal, honestly, than buying a piece like this for, let's say, um, 600, 700, 800, you know. Even then, like I said, it's a major scam, right? You buy it for 600, you might still need to service it. Like the Omega Geneve that I have, the one that I showed in the previous video, the silver one, day date Geneve. That one I need to service, and I paid, I think, like $400 for it. And they said just serviced, right? And this one said just serviced as well. Just serviced my ass. Anyway, people, that's a little thing to watch out for. Unless you're unless you're buying it from a watch enthusiast and they show you the receipt of when it was actually serviced, then that might be then you might be fine. But a majority of these online auctions on eBay, it's a load of shit, right? Which is kind of sucks, right? Why would they lie about this? But they're just trying to move the product, they're just trying to sell it. On one hand, I don't blame them, but on the other hand, it's like, it's kind of scummy to do, right? Kind of scummy. Why lie? Just put the piece for like $200 and then just write like it may need to be serviced or service history unknown. At least be honest with it, and not just say, oh yeah, just service. So if it's a new watch collector or whatever, they're excited, they get it, and then they can't actually use it, and then they have to put in more money to service it, and it gets them kind of discouraged on the whole hobby. It's like, I thought I was going to get a nice solid piece for 200, but now I have to put in more money into it, and it's like, oh, I could have got a new Hamilton for that money, or whatever you see. So it's kind of discouraging. But if you're into the vintage pieces, or if you're looking for particular pieces, and if you want a good deal, you're going to have to get used. And eBay is the easiest place to find a wide variety of used watches. Okay. So anyway, that's about it. Oh yeah, and another thing is, if you buy a used watch on eBay that's a chronograph, be aware that the servicing costs for chronographs are a lot higher than just standard movements. So keep that in mind as well. Okay. Chronograph servicing is rough. Like my local watchmaker takes 475 or 400, I don't remember, dollars for a servicing of a chronograph, which is actually very cheap if you consider all the effort and all the stuff that needs to go into a chronograph servicing. But a lot of other watchmakers, they charge $500, $600, $700. So anyway, guys, take it easy.